Okay, hi everyone. So today we're playing Singapore Open, and we'll be starting the tournament round one. And my opponent is a player from China, wangzhongyuan. So I'm playing black, and let's see how this goes. So just starting the opening with cat. So over here I'm playing a centralizing move, and at the same time blocking the access along this horizontal line. So for the opening, usually I play a centralizing move. Let's just take a center cut over here. So again, over here, I'll just regroup my disc. There are ways to regroup over here and here, but this it flips two discs. So I will take this or this, which flips one disc and controls the center. So as the game begins to move from an opening to a mid-game stage, we start to look for opponents' good moves and just try to work with that. So over here, if assuming the next move it's white to play, this might be a good quiet move for white. So this would be a good prevention move to think about. At the same time, it's flipping one disc in one direction, and at the same time, it's controlling this axis between the horizontal line. So let's go with that move. So now white has regrouped to the bottom. Um, while there is no hurry to immediately block this move, if I were to play this move right now, white would actually get a quiet move over here to c3. So instead of doing that, I might play c3 instead, because when I play c3, I control this diagonal axis, and I also control this horizontal axis. So that gives me a potential tempo to play next into c5 as well. But if I play this move, I need to consider that if I go black here, white may go here to prevent the access. So let's see whether that works out. While maintaining into the center, I would also consider maybe this move at f3. So, but I think c3 forces white to actually expand in a more wider manner. So after c3 and c2, I would be able to consider moves like maybe b5 and b4 to maintain the center shape. So let's try that. So yes, he's played c2 to prevent my move to c5. So that's a good move by Wang Zhongyuan. So over here, the consideration would be to play either b4 or b5 to continue to just uh, create the connection between this group of black discs over here and this lone disc over here. And most of the moves for white on the top and the right are all poison. So I would like to progress this way. So intuitively, b4 or b5 would be a move that I would consider. B4 sort of gives white a easy edge play move to a5 in excess. If I were to play b5, white may choose to play something like this and give me an easy move, or white could jump in over here and then I could follow with b4. And then if white goes into b3, I could just take b6 in response as well. So I think b5 gives me more options over here. So over here, white has closed off the right side. We want to continue to play on the left side and see whether we can just keep to that side. If I were to play, let's say b3, it gives a potential danger for white to attack f3, which will become a quiet move for him. He might go into b6 to create access. So over here, I might consider doing something like just a diagonal cut across to g3 and just continue to maintain the center shape. Or I could also consider maybe c7, but c7 gives white maybe b6 and a consecutive move, jump into the center. So I might probably elect to go g3 over the other moves. So let's go with g3. So right now white has taken c5. So c5 gives a potential quiet move for me to, sorry, c5 gives a potential good move for me to c7 maybe over here. But if I were to play here and he were to cross back into b6, probably wouldn't be too great for me. So I would choose to go for b4 instead and just cut across. And then if white were to cut this way across, I would be able to choose between c7 or b6 over here. If I were to take b6, he gets a nice c7, so I would slightly prefer maybe c7 if we were to just look at these two moves. At the same time, I also have a quiet move to d2. So I would actually value d2 more because even if white were to block c7 over here, I would still get b6, and white can't just jump straight into b6. White could possibly go into maybe a6 in follow-up, but if white, maybe I could still do something like c6 and white will go in. So I think I slightly prefer this. At the same time, there is a theory about selecting moves when you're trying to centralize, selecting squares to play more towards the center of the board. So if I were to look at this, it's in the second last, it's in the second last outer parameter of the board, but it's also nearer to the center as compared to these two squares. These two squares are more towards the sides rather than the center. So let's try to go with that theory, see how that works out. So white has played to the edge over here. Usually when you see such a shape being split, you have this, and this. One way to continue is to just try to link up the this. Usually when you have these two options, this sort of flips to this in two different directions. This flips to this in one direction, and at the same time, you set up a potential feed to your opponent to form an unbalanced edge. So usually black, and then you expect maybe white and black and feed the unbalanced edge white, and then you jump into black over here. But you also need to check whether there is any black this along this diagonal, this mini diagonal, because if you were to go black, white, and want to go black here, if this or this were black, then you would then flip the b3 this, which would then make it balanceable edge. So right now there are no black this over here, so I guess it's fine to play this right now. If I were to play any other options maybe to the top, it will give white a good chance to regroup over here. So we want to break that possibility and break that shape, so we'll play into a6. So just let's see how white responds. I think white is generally playing quite fast. I have 8 minutes left of thinking time. He has 13. So the progression is as expected. So we'll just feed the unbalanced edge for him. So if one may argue that white may not play to take the unbalanced edge, but if white doesn't take the unbalanced edge and plays elsewhere, and I will take a2, and at the same time he will lose another tempo, and he has to play one more move outside. So he loses a total of 2 tempo if he doesn't take the edge. So usually feeding is a good way to form that unbalanced edge for your opponent. So right now, White has chose to play somewhere else. In relation to maybe mid-game parity, if White plays this and targets for another continuation move over here, he would then close off this square that gives him an extra tempo. So over here, I would think that I would need to continue to keep that pressure on to flip this back to black so that I maintain this excess. So even if he takes the unbalanced edge, I can still go for this move in return. So if I were to take the edge right now and try to capture tempo, he would then recapture the mid-game center tempo by taking maybe this square, which I will not have any access subsequently to e2. So what I want to do right now is just break through over here. As compared to this move that is reversible, if I play black here, White can play this move and then flip this back to White. But if I play this and White captures this move back to black, it's more detrimental because black, white, and then the continuation move for white might be here in the future. So if I capture the edge, once black, white, and then black, white, he would then form this whole diagonal as white, and then I will be able to play a quiet move to c1 in the future. So those are some considerations I have, and therefore I will go for f3. So let's see how he plays out. Apparently he doesn't really want to capture the unbalanced edge, so he is aware of that threat. So right now, a good move continuation for white will be here. But instead of trying to prevent it or take it, which is too poison, preventing it is also too much because you give white more moves to the top. So you play around it in some sense. Poisoning it would probably mean something like this. The g6, you make it less attractive. But it doesn't really change much of the game situation and it doesn't give you any merit. So you have to consider that if you're going to surrender this move to white, why not just play around it? So I will take b2 again, as earlier mentioned, and then expect white to play into g5, and then I'll just continue on with consecutive moves to c1 and d1, and then hopefully maybe even more moves to the edge. So let's just go with a2. And yep, he's played to g5, which is the expected move over here. So one consideration one might have is to regroup the disc over here and maybe play a move like h4. But h4 creates that access to get a quiet move here, and also maybe I could consider c7. But playing these two moves would actually create a black disc over here, which would remove a quiet move over here for me. So there is another theory about head and tail. So head being the move that your opponent just played. And usually when your opponent plays a move that way, it creates a continuous line of this. So usually the tail end might be potentially a quiet move. Over here, we don't want to play this move or this move first to obstruct ourselves. So let's go ahead with c1. And let's see how that plays out. So right now, I'm just bearing in mind that I have 5 minutes left of thinking time. I don't really want to lose the game because of time. So right now, white has only just one spare disc of a move left outside. So I feel quite comfortable to just take a quiet move and let him just take this disc however he wants. If he plays this, I will just cut in here. Okay, so now if he takes the edge, I'll be able to control the edge this way. And then now this line is being controlled by me, and therefore he's being forced to play x squared or c squared to give me the corner. So over here, it's just more about wrapping up the move. So over here would be wrapping up the game, and we will just play a quiet move here. Just play here to create this disc excess back into the corner to secure those discs. And then we can also choose to maybe play an interior sweep. So black, white, black, white, black, and then continue the game from there. So that is probably a cleaner finish as opposed to playing the corner and retaining that whole column of white disc that allows white to just cut back some discs along the way as you play towards the bottom right squares. So over here, we want to just continue that interior sweep, which secures the disc in the center, and then maybe go for parity. We'll just flip over here, and then he has to give up the corner. And then we'll go for the corner first, hoping that maybe he plays a mistake to g2, and then I'll get a continuous row of this here. So over here, I've secured this. If I play this,